or liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday. What day is it? Wednesday, March 27th.
We're gonna shake off the rest.
It's been a bit. Glad to be back to the 9 p.m. slot. For the notes, front to fix the notes here. It's Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. It is the 12th week of comics in 2024. It's also just a little shout out to Holy Week here in Churchland, but yeah, back to comics. Wednesdays are for comics. Comics are for Wednesdays. Talking about Star Wars comic books here on the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews is what we do. I'm Matthew. He's Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I just came back from PAX East 2024 down in Boston, or up in Boston rather, and I had a great time. Squeezed some cool Star Wars stuff in there, played some old school Star Wars video games. Shout out the Jedi Power Battles on the original Dreamcast. So I'm coming off of a great convention, first time out there, and I was able to read those comics on the train up. So there you go.
There we go. Yeah, I spread them out a little bit. I mean, getting over the Comic-Con hangover, if you will. Not so much a hangover, but just getting back in the swing of things, trying to read Defy the Storm as well. I promise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How
are you enjoying that so far?
It's great. It's really great.
It is a great book.
It's slow going. I probably won't have it finished by the time Living Force comes out, but
2 weeks.
You do. I got a lot of other stuff to read as well. I got nonfiction to read, so there's that too. Anyway, quick plugs at the top, and then we'll get them back on the bottom. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and at Starraptor STARRAPTER. I'm guessing that's just Twitter and YouTube mainly, or you're elsewhere as well.
Oh, of course. I got my blog. I just updated it today, as a matter of fact. Starraptor.substack.com. So let me say that again. Starraptor.substack.com. Yeah, we're breaking off the rust here with our speaking and everything else. Well, yeah, I just put up my little blog about my trip. So if you want to see just some cool pictures of Boston, the convention, other things, and speaking of YouTube, I also have my vlog of the trip as well. So a ton of content around PAX East over on my channels there. So there you go.
That the convention center, it's a nice looking convention center.
It's I think it's within 15 years. I told you, I think for somebody that celebration could be there. I think it's big enough for celebration easily, and it's very easily navigatable, more so than Javits Center. It's more symmetrical. It's easy to get from one point to another point. So.
Yeah, that's the thing about Javits. I mean, I have such fond memories.
I know,
of October, but man, it's like from one end to the other. If I thought Toronto Convention Center was just two buildings, that one's just one building, kind of. Well, it's two buildings too, but twice the size. So that's good. Yeah, it's good to know. It's just that Boston. I don't know if it's called the Boston Convention Center, whatever it is.
Boston Convention and Exhibition Center.
Nice. I would say, getting our mouth on unique New York, unique New Jersey, unique Massachusetts, unique Ontario. There we go. That's from Anchorman. Unique New York, unique New York. Right on. Anyways, hopefully, I don't know. I definitely got the convention bug. I definitely got the con.
Oh yeah. It's nothing like just going around with a microphone and a video camera, just documenting everything. I love that about conventions, meeting cosplayers, meeting people in lines, talking about random stuff, because everybody's got the commonality of, hey, we're all in this together. We all play video games. In this case, that's what PAX was about. So it's like, hey, how about this? I see somebody playing Rogue Squadron on the N64. I said, dude, I used to love this game. And we were chatting a little bit. It was like, it's great connections.
There we go. See, I'm single, so part of it is chatting up cosplayers, but that's a whole other kettlefish. That's not Air My Dirty Laundry on YouTube here. But also getting into the con bug, right? Just wanting to actually go and lead panels and go to panels and not spend too much money on merch. I was able to get this Taylor poster and that the Thrawn Alliances #1. Interestingly, one last thing about cons. There's a cool shot of that Tim's on his socials of him getting a photo with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah,
with that comic, the variant. So that's pretty sweet.
I've been looking high and low for that darn variant, man.
Yeah.
Every comic book store I've been to in the last like 3 months, I've been looking for it.
I found it was Toronto Comic Con. I was like, all right, there it is.
Was that like regular price?
Yeah, it was direct edition price. So I think so.
Oh, so it's not like a 1 out of 25. It's like a regular variant.
It might be 120, or it might be 100 or something. I don't know. Or no, it'll be less. Like it'll be a regular. Yeah, it's a regular. Although they'll probably up the price. Start to up the price now. But that's right. It's it's the San Diego variant cover.
Yep.
So there we go. Which I mean that costs a pretty penny. So, anyways, we got comics to talk about. We haven't talked about comics in a bit. It's 2 weeks. Again, 3 weeks since back at the 9 p.m. slot. So let's dive right in. First up, we got 4 books tonight. First up, High Republic number 5, written by Kevin Scott, art by Ario Anindito, Mark Cresta, and Mark Morales, colors by Jim Campbell, covered by Phil Noto. Before I dive in, I should say we're gonna catch you guys up on comics. So this was last week's, and then of course Jango was from 2 weeks ago, but we're gonna get to him now. High Republic number 5, Monster and Apprentice.
Wait, no, these all came out last week. No,
this came out last week. Jango came out 2 weeks ago. Anyway, these came out last week. This week's comics we're gonna do next week. We'll figure it out. We'll get it sorted out. It'll be
4 issues last week. We're talking about last week's issues today.
Yes, that's what's happening. But they're good stories. We want to talk about them. So anyway, High Republic number 5, Monster and Apprentice. It's a good pun. An exciting new arc begins. Lightsabers clash as Keeve Trennis finally finds what she's been searching for in the Nihil Occlusion Zone. What is the secret of the ancient ruin? And can Keeve trust Lorna D when she needs her the most? The Jedi's deepest fears manifest as a face from the past makes a shocking appearance. I'm going to start right with that, right for the gut there. Huge spoiler, guys. It's kind of funny. So there's going to be a theme throughout tonight of surprise appearances that we were told were coming, but we've seen the cover for issue number 6 for a while, but they still played up the surprise well, I thought.
Yeah.
They had this cloaked figure. So is it Sarah who's off in the woods getting these weird visions?
Yes.
Sort of Nameless-esque, but not really the Nameless. And then there's this other cloaked figure trying to keep those visions at bay, and we don't know who this person is, but clearly it seems like trying to help Sarah out and kind of give them a hand here. And comes out, cloak lifts up. It's Tesseract from Phase 2, but a much older, wizened, wizardy Tesseract, who is a far cry from the kind of scoundrel sort of guardian. It was Guardian of the Will. That was the Church of the Force, one of those folks on Jeddah. Now, of course, 150 years later, he's kind of wizened and old. I'm guessing he still has a bit of a gleam in his eye, a bit of a smirk. But that was an exciting reveal, just to say one of the better, more satisfying reveals of a Phase 2 character coming up. In Phase 3, they're definitely tying things in and taking advantage of the fact that these aren't human characters. So they intentionally said these are not human characters. We can decide they live as long as we want them to live, and they can still be in their prime 150 years later. And so this was a great tease. Of course, the main thrust of this issue is the human Keeve Trennis and the Trandoshan skier and the Twi'lek Lorna D all coming together. And Lorna again continuing this question of how her allegiances are shifting, having that audio play in view that I think is the finale to this whole to at least to this comic run, this comic story. Of course, it's going to be by Kevin Scott as well. And really playing up this tension, Skier. What do you do with Skier, and how Keeve is really able to show her character? It's really, again, another character moment of she's trying to actually bring him back. Almost a Luke Skywalker-esque type of thing, but it's a different character. It's Keeve Trennis, and we kind of know where Keeve is going, where her character is headed. But for now, she's definitely, well, again, I'm still convinced that her leaving the order is for light side reasons and not dark side reasons, but that's remains to be seen. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, definitely almost this angel and devil sort of dynamic going on a little bit in terms of is Keeve going to be peaceable, say, hey, you see the hilts, I gave you my master, I gave you these hilts here. Now she's a master, and is trying to bring him back and seek the light, whereas Lorna, she doesn't seem villainous, she just seems more realist in this, and kind of makes me think of the Bad Batch episode tonight, what's realist and what's realistic and whatnot. So it was, again, following this character, building up both of these characters, and oddly enough, using a compelling Skier story, or Skier himself as a compelling character in this, to support Keeve and Lorna. I know that's another last comment I'll make is, Lorna continues to be a super interesting character, super intriguing, just where she's going, what her allegiances are. Again, I've mentioned this, but I wonder if she's almost going to be turning out to be a co-lead of this story. So those are my thoughts on High Republic number 5. What do you think of that?
Yeah, as everything this week, I'll explain very dense issues, meaning that there's a lot of content where it feels like between Jango and this, and Visions and Thrawn, like these are all like double issues in my mind. There's a lot of stuff to absorb and kind of parse through, where I've had that like reread these issues multiple times just to kind of get it all down, which is great, because it's like we're paying the same price for just so much content, which is always great to see. But it can be a little daunting sometimes. But I will say, like, I really did enjoy the surprises, the way that Kivan Scott has threaded along the audience. Going from the first big reveal for me was the Dren Gear, and I had texted you, messaged you. I said, and then I got let down because it's like, oh, that's not really them. I was
interesting. You got let down by that, eh?
I was getting let down that wasn't actually them, because I feel like they've gone out of phase 1 so unceremoniously. There's not really been much talk at all about them anymore, and yet they were such a big issue. I'm like, it's kind of weird that they would just disappear and there's like no one talking. So it made so much sense for them to just be on this planet. But it is also effective in storytelling, because I thought it was the Nameless that was allowing them to envision them, because the Nameless was nearby or something. But then there's talk, and that's where some of the stuff is like reading between the lines, because there's talk of another character named Nath or something. Maybe I'm just imagining that's what Tay Sarek is like. Oh, this person's doing this. Maybe they're the Force Hunter or whatever those things are called. But
there's a Force.
Yeah. So there's that. Tay Sarek showing up and on the second read through, noticing he's got that Sith glove from Jeddah, the zapped the Nameless. I believe that is the same type of weapon that what's his name? The dude that looks like Quinlan Voss with the thing on his head, the stripe. Who is the main character of Phase 2 of the High Republic comics? Vildar Mack.
Yeah, Vildar.
Vildar Mack had the power of that glove, and they're like, and then Tay Sarek took it, so I think he still has that thing. I thought that was very interesting how he was able to zap him with electricity like that. And then at the end, finding out that Skier actually is protecting this character, and that must be somebody important. I wasn't able to get a beat on who that character was, but I feel like that little girl that's masked is going to be somebody we know.
Right.
Maybe it'll be somebody we know into Phantom Menace. Maybe I don't know. They looked human though, but it was a lot of great shocking moments for me where I was like, "Oh wow!" Turning the page, and you're just like your jaws kind of agape, and you're just like, "Wow, this is cool." But seeing Lorna D fighting Skier, that was awesome.
That was cool.
Slashing up across the back, and then he's getting mad, and it's just like this whole emotional arc with Keeve Tretis and trying to get through to him, right, with the lightsabers, like you were talking about. All that stuff was great. So, just the first thoughts were, this is a great issue, and we're halfway now.
Yeah. So here's who we now know as Tay Sarek. And then I guess there's the Sith killing glove.
Yep.
That is retrieved from the statue in Jeddah. or so no, maybe
underneath.
Yeah. So here he is in all his glory. Kind of this like straight out of Lord of the Rings, like Tom Bombadil kind of thing going on.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if that was an inspiration for Kevin. Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, and there's an A plot and a B plot, and you're talking about cramming things into this. Yeah, there's and really and two just very coherent stories that stand alone that are going to be somehow connected. Who knows who this girl is? Maybe she's causing the visions. Who knows? I think she might be the same species as Depa Billaba, is what I'm wondering. Just because the
wait, she's a different species? I just assumed she was human.
I mean, she has this jewel on her forehead.
But that's just like an Indian tradition now.
Oh, maybe.
Like that's
that's possible. Yeah. You never know. I'm sure they'll let us know what's going on with the mask and everything. I mean, almost shoot in Bounty Hunters.
That's stick.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of vibe. That garb. So yeah, definitely a lot going on in this one. Yeah, like you said,
a lot going on.
Halfway through. Definitely made now that we've had this conversation between Keeb and Skier, definitely is this pivot moment, definitely moves things forward. Like the new arc begins. I mean, I don't know if that's entirely accurate.
Probably. I would 5 and 5 makes sense. I think we are going to go into a brand new story next month.
In the next one. I mean, so speaking of, I mean, that's the thing. Like they've shown this cover.
Oh, we're gonna get a nice big flashback issue, I bet.
Maybe, yeah, that'll be interesting. And you know, that's been interesting. Just thinking about just stepping back on phase 3 generally. You know, the key to the Jedi figuring out the Nameless is them learning what kinds of things happen during phase 2 slash. I mean, for them, it's 150 years in their history.
Yep.
But also stuff maybe that happened after that, and I mean, right? I mean, and what we know with that Kevin Scott comic in High Republic, you know, Vildar and Tay, they're in the temple, they're in the statue there, and finding the Rod of Daybreak or the Rod of Shadows, and the rods coming together in the way to control the Nameless. And so, yeah, I mean, all these different characters are key to sorting out the Nameless.
I didn't even think about that, because Tay Sarek knows about the rods that could stop the things.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're starting to, like, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, we talk about who the main villain of the of High Republic is. You know, yeah, it's the Nile. Joel's got this comment here. You know,
that's some hot takes right there.
Tell you about the Drengir, the Nile. I mean, if you think about it, though, it's not really the Nile that are the big threat. It's the Nameless. And it's just that the Nameless are controlled by the Nile. But the Nameless allow the Nile to, I mean, also the Storm Wall and everything happening there. And the way that blocks off Republic support and military support and material support and, you know, supply line and things like that. But, yeah, I mean, there's also, it's definitely, you know, solving the Nameless is the key, and so the narrative key. And so, yeah, you have Tay Sarek, you have Reith and Amadeo, and I've just gotten to Defy the Storm where Reith shows up, thankfully. Well, not where he shows up again. Has he show up again? No, like he's getting mentioned.
No,
by Vernon Avon. So yeah, my guy Reith, Amadeo, all those guys. Maybe Aslan Rel. Somehow, I don't know if Aslan's just a foil to show what not to do with the.
Then you have the Master of Amadeo, the big muscly bound Jedi.
Forget anything.
Something with like, I don't know. I forget.
Yeah. So anyway, all this to say, that seems to be what's coming together are all these different characters. Some of them Jedi, some of them not. Some of them not even Force sensitive at all. You know, probably Afi and the vessel crew there. Coming together to say, let's figure this out. Let's actually be the means to really save the Jedi and save the galaxy from this really crazy threat. So, Again, another piece is in play, but also again really showing, continuing to tell a good character story about Keeve and Lorna specifically. With Tarek and Sarah. I mean, that was another thing to talk about. Tarek and Sarah, kind of finding individuality between themselves.
It's interesting.
Imagine completely just this telepathic bond. They're all almost, I mean, Siamese twins, but in their minds, and that's even more complicated, more trickier. I think. I don't.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
Don't know if that's true, but
that they could talk. One of them can talk, and then the other one talks.
But also
in
to say
another
that they're
area,
disagreeing now. I mean,
brain.
we started off them being just so in sync about everything, and now they're having tension and fighting. Maybe that's how they were growing up. I don't know. Maybe one of them wanted to be a way seeker, and one of them was still a pseudopaddle. I don't know. That would be a funny story, but yeah. So definitely, a great midpoint, moving the story forward.
Oh yeah.
So it's good. Do you have anything more to say about this one?
I'm excited to read the next entry in the High Republic, which is the Crash One-shot that came out today that I completely forgot to pick up. So there you go.
My
thing we're talking about last week's comics.
I might actually end up getting it on digital.
Yeah,
a physical copy later. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We got to read it. We got to talk about it. We're completists here at the Tractor Room Comics Reviews.
Oh yeah,
completists. Why not?
Definitely.
Anyways, let's move on. The comic we've been waiting 3-4 weeks to get into this one since Ethan came on and gave us some nice teases for it. So Jango Fett #1, written by Ethan Sachs, art by Luke Ross, colors by Nolan Woodward, cover by Lanil Francis Yu. See right
all
there.
The variants.
So that's the direct edition, right? Oh, that's the variant. Here's the direct edition. There we go.
Another one for you.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely good on you for picking up all the variants and letting it padding the sale numbers because
I even got my girlfriend to pick up.
There we go, Naomi.
There you go. Get everybody to pick one up, man. I haven't heard any of the numbers yet. I don't know how long.
Yeah, we gotta
the numbers.
John Jackson Miller and his whatever his numbers. Anyway, so yeah, cover by Lionel Francis and Nolan Woodward. Jango Fett embarks on a brand new mission as seen in Star Wars Revelations. Ethan Sachs, Star Wars Bounty Hunters, Luke Ross, Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, and Dark Droids team up to continue the legacy of one of the greatest bounty hunters, Jango Fett. A bounty to find, a mystery to solve, a treaty at risk. All this with Aura Singh in the mix. They tell us right off the bat. There we go. What did you think? You've been looking forward to this one for a while. What did you think of Jango Fett #1?
Oh man, I freaking loved it. This is everything I wanted and more. I'll be honest. My expectations were very high, but knowing how good Ethan Sachs writes bounty hunters, there should have never been any doubt that this wouldn't be great. And it certainly was great for me because just going from everything working in tandem so well, from the story to Luke Ross's art, just goes in tandem so well. And just the introduction, I think the melding of the character of Jango and the seedy underbelly of a pre-Phantom Menace kind of criminal era is just so cool because it's all new to us. We haven't really seen any of this stuff besides that one issue in Age of Republic or whatever with him and Boba Fett. But this is way before that, obviously. This is pre-Phantom Menace. What I didn't expect going into this is how well it would lay the foundation to what happens in the Phantom Menace. I mean, we didn't know about Valorum a lot. This was what shocked me. We didn't really know why Valorum, they kicked him out so easily. And the fact that Ethan Sachs is like, oh, I'm going to put in some really good juicy stuff about him fumbling with certain political situations to already have the mindset of the people already on edge about this guy in the first place. So that when Padme goes with Naboo, they're like, yeah, let's get this idiot out of office and go with this other guy named Palpatine. So the fact that he's laying those seeds and we're getting really cool political stuff between Glee Ansem. I didn't even know that there was 2 different warring people. I already knew about Nautilans, but I didn't know anything about the Amselmi people. So getting that, the Republic, how they're trying to make the peace accords, that was really brilliant stuff. This is not just, fun with bounty hunters shooting guns. There's a lot more density. Again, density is the common word I'm gonna have all night long. This issue felt dense. We have multiple things going on. We get a Mandalorian-esque introduction of Jango Fett in this bar. Just absolutely badass. I mean, Jango Fett does not have a lot of words in current things in canon, right? He's got a whole video game. He's got a whole comic series and Legends as well. But we're getting to see how this is stuff that's tying into the movie. This is exactly what I would envision Jango Fett to act like. And we're seeing him pulling off amazing things, you know, gunslinging down like 6 thugs instantly, like no problem, jet packing out of this place, dropping thermal detonators and going away. And we get to see kind of foreshadowing too, like in that last little bit when he's throwing a metal piece, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the move that Crosshair does all the time when he throws that like reflective thing and like headshots the guy. It's so good. And then not only that, we go connecting so many elements. Ethan Sachs has really done his homework on this one. We got a really great reference from the Obi-Wan series with Dayu, and there's a whole new character that I had no idea who this guy was. He's obviously a new character, but I'm already very much intrigued. His name is called Vigor Struck, and he's going against the Gluvians, which are Kevin Scott's like one of his favorite species. He loves to put in like the Twinkle Twins from the freaking Jeddah arc and those dudes. I think it's the same people, kind of aliens, but like they're trying to pick a fight with this guy, and he's like acting all cool, and they're all like, "Oh, we got this cool bounty puck," and it's like they're good. Oh yeah, we got this guy, we got this job, and he just single-handedly owns them all and gets the staff and gets the stuff and gets out of there. So I'm very curious about this character. Oh man, I feel like I'm going on and on because it's just there's so much stuff in this issue. It's just fantastic to see where it goes. And I'll let you go because I feel like I'm missing.
I mean, the feel is very cinematic, and it's a really great achievement. Also, you know, by Ethan Sachs, but also Luke Ross, really giving us. You mentioned the jetpacking out of that bar or whatever, you know, out of the roof. That felt like how it felt like a Mandalorian episode just set a couple decades before. It was like you just go in and get out and introduce, you know, kind of like like the first episode of the Mandalorian, where just the setup feeling like a first act, bringing that I'm blanking on the guy's name, the blue guy, just setting up the character, establishing just he can go into a bar outnumbered and just take everyone out, which we kind of knew a little bit. Yeah, we kind of knew a little bit, but you know, to really see it actually happen, which we hadn't really seen happen, right? Having to hear Tim Morrison's voice in my head while he's saying all this stuff. You know, I don't like I don't gamble. I don't whatever. I don't, you know, whatever. He knows what he's doing.
It's so good.
But then, like you mentioned, the politics. I was not expecting was it the Moncala arc politics going on here with like you know, or Iron Man Arano, you know, this kind of these rivalries that come on. And what I found interesting, here's my real world parallel going on here, you know, in a lot of these, but in this one especially, you know, there's this jewel, this statue that's stolen that was the symbol of unity between the Anselmi and the Nautiloans on Gliansel, and it's stolen into the British Museum. I mean, the Republic Museum, you know, and you know, I do wonder, you know, if Ethan's making this comment about colonialism and the way that often plays up rivalries like we see in the Middle East, right? And so this, you know, just this cue of this stolen ancient, I don't know about ancient, but just stolen, very treasured statue, little thing that then becomes sort of, I don't know, the MacGuffin, the symbol of, it's a symbol of peace, and so it being kidnapped, being stolen, thieved. It's for these. It's like we see the thieves, the ones in the same armor, saying for Gliansel, right? They want independence from the Nautiloans, and so they're gonna take it out. I'm wondering, and having the Moncala arc in mind, you know, which side is being funded by the separatists, or the proto separatists by the Trade Federation, which side is being pushed by this nascent separatist movement. Obviously, I mean, I can't help but wonder if Palpatine's pulling strings already here and trying to say, look at this doofus Valorum, right?
Yeah.
Again, I was not expecting Valorum to be in this issue at all. So it was a very pleasant surprise. Again, I say this a lot, but Star Wars at its best works on the wider scale and the personal scale. And we see the personal character of Jango. He, like like the last things, simple bounty my
yeah,
and just he's just kind of like, I gotta take care of all this political nonsense.
Gosh,
so it was just really effective there. But yeah, the politics and employing the underworld. And this is an interesting idea. Someone like a representative of the Republic, the person who is trying to engineer all the peace talks here, she's hiring Jango, I think, to go get this thing back. So he's being pulled into galactic politics already. And again, I mean, we want to be careful how much we're reading too much in, but you got to think Ethan has in mind the real question of this whole comic is, how does he get noticed by the Sith, by the by the Kaminoans, but really by Palpatine and Dooku, to become the clone template, right? How does he get noticed by them? Kind of like, I mean, that is sort of what the Legends comic is about. Not sort of. It is what the Legends comic is about explicitly. They're having the conversation. It's a different angle on it. I have read some Legends comics, believe it or not. But yeah. So yeah, also a fantastic, really, again, cinematic start to this comic. There's the official character of the tractor beam. Pretty cool character and a bounty hunter. We got Dom's Tim Morrison. I can point to it. It's eventually over there.
Yeah, we got Jango Fett over there.
Oh man, I have Black Series. I should bring it. I don't know where it is.
But I remember it now.
I want one of those clones right there. There we go. So yeah. So anyway, that's Jango Fett number 1. Do you have any further thoughts?
Yeah, I got plenty to say. Right, so buckle up. It's gonna be a while. No, I'll keep it brief because I know we got 2 more issues to talk about.
Yeah,
but we didn't even mention about Megalock's prison going back from Charles Soule's run of Poe Dameron series.
I mean, that looked familiar.
Place.
That looked kind of familiar.
So cool. Yeah. You pulled it all the way back from that, and we have Aura Singh. And then I had to do the homework. I'm like, oh wait, because Aura Singh was around this era when she was dealing with Maul and Cad Bane to try to kill that Jedi in that miniseries. So I'm looking up and I'm like, oh, is this taking place after that? Because maybe she got busted and then she got put in that prison. I can't trace anything through Wikipedia, but I feel like that's probably what happened.
Is that a canon comic? When is that?
That's a canon comic. Yeah, the Darth Maul comic that takes place right before Phantom Menace.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe. That's why I just want to just pause and say, when is this thing set? Because there is a little moment of saying, oh yeah, the talks between the Trade Federation and the Naboo have broken down.
Yes, that's what I wanted to
mention. So I'm thinking this is actually kind of right around the Phantom Menace.
Right around there, because if you also connect this to your buddy over there in Toronto, the writer of Padme books.
Oh, E.K. Johnson, yeah.
Didn't she write something about in the first chronological Padme book about something with the Trade Federation and something with taxes and all that?
Probably. I mean, that's this film by George Lucas called The Phantom Menace, right?
But like I feel like she added more detail.
Yeah, I think Queen's Peril probably would.
And I think Ethan is riffing off of that with this whole little reference in that book. So I think this is like maybe like weeks before Phantom Menace, if that, maybe days. I don't know. And that's why this book needs to continue, everybody, past issue number 4, because this isn't, and I'm not trying to make it look like it's anything less, but like this isn't just your run-of-the-mill, like quick bounty hunter story where it's just dumb fun, gunning down a target, and then that's the end of the story. Like he's seeding, like Ethan said on our podcast, he had ideas for things, and there's clearly ideas that he's seeding this not to only be like a focal point on Jango Fett, but kind of a take on the entire era. like you said, it's a personal story, but it's a wider story. So Lucasfilm should just let him run with it. Marvel should just let him run with it and just be the architect of like going into the Phantom Menace, and let this be like the official kind of like prequel to the Phantom Menace ongoing, because we don't have a lot of comics in this point, a de facto prequel or something.
And I mean, we speculated what the next era of, say, an ongoing comic is going to be, or where this is all going. Yeah, I would love that. I think, especially, it would be disappointing if issue number 4 is, oh, hey, let's get this guy for the clone template. Why not? And then that's it, right? I think that he has to do more to earn his way.
Yes.
Than simply get back this little jewel thing. He actually has to do something probably pretty major. Like, again, I don't quite remember what in the Legends comic, but he does do something pretty major that gets their attention. And he's like, oh yeah, because that's the thing in the framing devices is Palpatine and Dooku chatting about this guy. So yeah, we got a bunch of comics. My guess is when this is set in relation to the Darth Maul, she's probably in the prison. I don't quite remember what happens. The main thing I remember from that comic is Malachor.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Maybe she's in the prison because of what happened.
Wait, Luke Ross did the artwork on that one as well.
Who wrote that, Darth Maul? Well,
I actually do not know off the top of my head.
Let's see. I don't know. We'll find out. 2017 Darth Maul canon comic. Sorry guys, I'm on Wikipedia here. Luke Ross did it. Cullen Bunn.
Oh,
and Nolan Woodward did the colors, and Rod Rice did the cover. So Cullen Bunn, and it's set before. So they're kind of building this out, and they're building this era out. You're right. I mean, again, definitely with all the politics involved. I mean, even mentioning the Trade Federation and the Naboo. That's why it gets me thinking. This thing on Gleon's
man.
Just again, like the thing on Mon Cala, where the Quarren are with the Separatists. These kinds of proxy wars that happen.
I had a good laugh when the delegation from the Republic, the senator or whatever, who is hiring Jango, he's like, why don't you hire the Jedi to do this? And we're like, well, they're kind of busy, but we also have like a conflict of interest with this Kit Fisto guy.
Can't be trusted. So maybe the Ansami are kind of a separatist thing. I don't know. I'm kind of reading a bit into it, but it's not a stretch. It's not a stretch.
I love their armor design because it reminded me of like the Black Manta type of armor from DC Comics or whatever. It harkened back to that, and it makes sense because they're also an aquatic people living on that planet. So it makes sense that Luke Ross is drawing inspiration from that. So I'm wondering if he ever drew like a Aquaman comic or something.
It's possible. I mean, again, the Mon Cala thing, that's very Aquaman, right?
We get to see the good old Slave One as well. And I love how Jango is just like, get off he's just like, he's screaming at these guys. What the hell are you doing on my ship? And they're like trying to put a detonator on it. And it's just great comic action right there. Legendary stuff done by Luke Ross with those pencils.
Yeah. And Luke Ross, he's a legend. He's been around for so long. He's done such a great work. So great to see he's still kicking, still doing lots of stuff. Anyway, last bit before we move on.
I think that's it for now.
I think we're good. Okay. We'll definitely pick up on it when we can. Next issue. I just want to say one last thing with Aura Singh. It's played as a big reveal. That's another thing. Like Taste Rack, it's played as a big reveal. But again, we've seen the cover for issue number 2, and she's there. And then in the publisher description, all this with Aura Singh in the mix. So, I mean, kind of even getting all the way to the thing with Beckett, right? You killed Aura Singh. Beckett and Lando. So, Anyways, let's move right along. 2 more books to go. We're halfway there. Thrawn Alliances is number 3, written by, of course, Timothy Zahn and Jody Hauser, art by Pat Olaf and Andrea DeVito, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and cover again by Rod Rice. About a space battle for the ages. Sorry, let me try that again. A space battle for the ages. Past and present collide as Thrawn partners with Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. What are the Separatists hiding? How does Padme play a role? This is definitely set during the Clone Wars and during the Empire. It's been a while. I read this a week ago. So, Chris, I'll throw this to you, put you on the spot. What do you think of Thrawn Alliances number 3?
I thought it was good, but a quick preamble on this one is I'm really feeling the limitations of the 4 issues in this miniseries.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like so much stuff is rushed, like beyond belief, where it's like, wait, what's happening here? You have to do a lot of reading between the lines. So it's like, you can give us, I'm kind of throwing shade, but you can give us 6 issues of a freaking Obi-Wan series.
Sure.
But you can't give us 6 issues of a Thrawn series. Like,
there's 6 episodes in Obi-Wan. So clearly, logically,
you could have clearly condensed like 2 of those episodes that didn't really make a lot of movement, but that's for another discussion another day. But it just irritates me because I feel like the first run of the Thrawn comics was great. There was a good pacing and all, and this one just seems really rushed. Even though we have Tim Zahn on it, which is great, it just seems like it could have been more done here. There's a lot of jumping around. Obviously, that's the crux of the stories. You're always going back from Clone Wars to Galactic Civil War storyline, and it's really about this investigation. I guess the part that confused me the most was about Anakin and Thrawn and what exactly is going on with these separatists that they find, and then they go and trace them back to this bartender guy, but then they're not, like, this bartender guy isn't really working with these other guys that they interrogated, that is like exposing him, but then they are working for the separatists. So it was like just a lot of really weird stuff. And then Thrawn is like, oh, they must be on McKiv. It's like, how the hell did he just pull that out of his butt? It's like, it's just, again, it was a little too rushed for me. I mean, the stuff with Vader and Thrawn was the stuff I was waiting for years to finally see the grist, and it was a little bit like anticlimactic. They're okay. I'm like, I mean, granted, we've seen them from far away, so maybe there's another chance that in issue number 4 we'll get like a nice big like close-up shot on them. We got to, because they're so blurry in the background, but they're just like any other humanoid. I'm just like, well, granted, they never explained them as anything different than humanoid, but I just want a little bit more oomph to that reveal. I feel like it was just a little bit like, oh, they're the Gris, those little like tannish creature things. Okay. So it got to that point. I mean, I'll give props and praise where it's due, and that is anytime Anakin shows up. They have this great color background of the blue representing him like using the Force. So I never see, I like that stylistic approach. So with Rochelle Rosenberg there on the colors, really cool to actually see that effect. That's something I noticed, and seeing Anakin playing around with the Force and different things like that. But yeah, overall it was just okay for me. I'm really hoping we pull through. We even see any Padme in this issue at all. So I'm really hoping we pull through for a strong finish. So hopefully I jogged some of your memory from the comic.
Yeah, you did. I mean, we're always going to lose something. I guess the tricky thing with this is because it's this. I mean, with Thrawn, he's such a Sherlock, trying to methodical procedural investigation. Here, that's not correct English, Matthew. Methodical procedural investigator is a better way of putting it. That he, we need maybe the time to tease things out. It does feel like even Anakin's playing catch up, and Vader, not so much playing catch up. I do find it interesting. I will say this, that Vader indulges him because he knows he's such a brilliant tactician and brilliant just mind to put the logic together. I mean, well, to be more appreciative of this comic, I think everything, the tension underlying it, for me at least, is always, when does Thrawn get to the "it is he" line? And we better get that in issue number 4. The whole he pieces together who Vader is.
And
the reason why Vader is indulging him because he remembers this whole thing on Batuu before, and everything, of course, with Padme and the cortosis and all that stuff. Or I guess, I mean, I don't know if I guess he sort of knows about the cortosis at this point. I can't quite remember, but no, he definitely does. The separatist plot in the factory. We don't know because we haven't read the thing yet, but of course we read the novel from 2017 or whenever it was, but 2019. It still has the feel of a Thrawn novel. It's still, I mean, it's partly just taking the dialogue straight from the book. Again, the kind of mechanical, but not in a boring one, not in a dry way, but the mechanical sort of, let's figure this out and let's do this and what's the logic there. I do think, that with this separatist, not so separatist, who knows what bartender guy, I think he's lying is what it was. And so Thrawn's able to deduce that, and Anakin's able to deduce that as well. And so I didn't mind this book. I'll say that. I didn't mind it. I thought it was again, you're gonna lose some things. You're gonna lose Padme. And that's maybe the unfortunate thing. I do agree. Like give this a 6-issue run, supposed to a 4-issue run. Give me a bit more Padme. We're gonna get more Padme. We have, I think we did feel, I guess it was the last issue. Was it the last issue with the Handmaiden? We did feel that. I think we're gonna get more Padme and her discovery, and we got a bit of her good in the factory and trying to sneaking in and figuring it out too. So this was never gonna be as great as the novel. That's it could have been more.
Could have been.
But I'm satisfied with it. It's better than those adaptations for the sake of adaptations, right? If we want you to be gratuitous and buying variants for the Jango book, because that's an original story. We want to see happen.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to buy Kenobi variants, do that. But that's the only reason why that book exists. So
yeah, just for the night. It's got nice covers. I'll give it that, and I got to go ahead and pick them up tomorrow with High Republic Adventures. One-shot. But I mean, as far as any other notes I might have on this book, I think what I did enjoy. Okay, this is the one part I enjoyed because I'm a very much into like the military tactics in Star Wars with it relating to rebels and stormtroopers. I like the whole sequence. And I think they spent a lot of time on it. They probably didn't have to, of like the sequence of these stormtroopers, like
that was cool.
Breaching into the Grist ship, and it was like really cool tactics. He's like, "Oh, they got like that. They got us pinned down. Oh, let's go high," and then they just peek out and just like blast them. And then they're trying to get through the door, and like the explosion happens. We're like, we count 3 guys. It was really cool. Kind of reminded me of like a little Saving Private Ryan-esque like Band of Brothers sort of thing. I forget what the commander's name, but he's pretty badass as a stormtrooper.
Cool, So and a stormtrooper commander too, which is different.
I'm waiting for a Rook. I thought Rook was in that battle at some point, but he should be popping up the last issue to do something. I want to see Rook in action in comic book form.
Stormtrooper commander, just thinking about Enoch, how he has a stormtrooper commander in Ahsoka, right?
Maybe that's the same guy.
Maybe that'll be interesting. I don't know about that. Probably not, but it'd be just an interesting the fact that he trusts stormtroopers to command. Thrawn trusts stormtroopers to command more than he trusts sniveling ladder climbing officers. So that's something. I mean, probably I mean the clone army, clones were better officers than the ladder climbing Republic officers. The rest of the Republic officers. So. It's always fascinating, and I really want to ask Zahn and Hauser how they chose not so much what to cut, but what to slow down and spend more time on. Like why spend more time on this? I mean, building up the tension, partly building up the reveal to the Grisk, but also building up the excitement of this issue. I mean, maybe it's just strategically in terms of the story, it is a key point where they're able to I guess commandeer the ship or infiltrate the ship. It was interesting, and I'm curious to know.
Yeah, quick little Easter egg there too. I believe it is the commander's ship. The stormtroopers fly in on a ship that looks very similar to a game I played recently. It's Dark Forces. Kyle Katarn owns that same ship called the Dark. No, it's called the Moldy Crow.
Right.
And it's got that same old Legends design. So I want to shout out whoever was responsible for making that. What is it? The Dark Hawk or something like that?
Yeah.
Their ship is called. So that's pretty cool.
Owner of Zon's partly responsible for that. Wouldn't be surprising. There. We got a few comments in here. Bull Run did like the Grisk reveal. That's fair. Kind of better than using involving inspired by the Rakatans.
Yo, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that's true. That'll be there's a species, the Rakatans.
We've gotten to mention that of all things in the Andor series when
of all things,
you know,
dark side.
Here's this crystal, you know. Here's this crystal. It's from the Rakatans. I don't know. It's like what?
Got another comment by Joel, very much in line with Heir to the Empire here. Would not mind if Zahn wrote a Luke, Han, and Leia story set post Endor, like he did already, 30 years ago. He can incorporate, but in canon, of course, he can incorporate Chiss Grisk stuff.
Oh my gosh!
From the Ascendancy, I'm guessing.
You want to talk about the average mainstream Star Wars fans actually talking about a Star Wars book?
Yeah,
that would actually pick this thing. You know how fast this thing would sell if they made a book at all, and it was marketed as, oh, you remember Heir to the Empire? Now read the canon or have a different way of explaining it that it's canon, but like being like, this is your big three are going to be in this book. Oh my gosh, this thing is going to be #1 New York Times bestseller. There you go. You know, Del Rey Random House Worlds.
You pitch.
Just go ahead and make that book, and you guys are going to make good for the next 5 years.
I will say, Joel, I know he said disconnected from Mandoverse. I mean, we all know Filoni is doing something like this in the Mandoverse. Like, I mean, not with the Chiss Grisk stuff or with Luke, Han, and Leia necessarily, but with Thrawn, Heir to the Empire. So, So, and there's Joel making the connection too. All this in this for the Cult of Thrawn. So, there's like, because is this in the Ascendancy novel or no? The Alliances novel? These stormtroopers that take over the.
Oh yeah.
So, there we go. Sorry. This could be post. Oh, fair. Yeah. Could be something. I don't know. I mean, it kind of just makes sense that Thrawn would have these troops that go with him on that get to the other galaxy on Peridia. But to see this also, maybe that's another reason why they spent time on it, right? Remember, one of the reasons this book came out is to pick up on the Ahsoka hype. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that's just how the industry works. So I gotta wonder if they're decided to put Zahn and Hauser decided to spend more time on this to give him more of the phrase emotional canon. I heard this from Kem Knapsack, likes to talk about this. I don't know if he has recently, but an emotional connection to his troops that worship him, like Thrawn on the Chimera and Ahsoka. So maybe.
Yeah, because they're what are they called? The 7th Legion or something? They are super. Yeah, we already knew before we seen Ahsoka, like his troops are very loyal to him. Reading the canon books, I think Thrawn Treason probably points it out a lot too. Just like how committed these guys are to him, even though he's an alien, they stick up for him and all.
So there's some at least implied paper to canon pipeline there. A little bit. I don't know.
That would be so neat if they somehow added a little bit extra in his final issue, and there was like, the commander gets his like helmet like messed up, and then you just see him pouring gold into it. It's like,
why not? Why not? Like it's a different medium. It's supposed to be the same story.
And Tim Zahn wrote the darn book. He could actually retrograde. What do they call it? Retcon the book a little bit. Add a little bit like special edition George Lucas it. Add that in there.
There we go. And people will be up in arms. What's the canon story? They're both the canon story. It's fine. Or just in a way that doesn't affect anything in the book at all. But there we go. All right, last little bit on alliances, or should we get to move on to
We're
our
good to go to
final
the last one?
Last one, stepping out of canon into the Visions verse, whatever that is. Yeah, Visions. Takashi Okazaki, his one shot. The Ronin and the Droid. Translated one shot translated by Aki Yanagi. Takashi Okazaki returns to the world of the Ronin once more. We've seen the Ronin as a Sith Slayer, but who was the Ronin before? See the earlier history of the Ronin and his Sith origins in this one-of-a-kind Vision special featuring the Ronin from the first season of the hit Disney Plus series, Star Wars Visions, which I have only seen once, and that's fine. I still enjoyed this, though. I especially liked the A New Hope callback. It's like R2 and 3PO on the planet there. And then, I mean, again, with Visions, you got to kind of step away from any kind of sense of what the Sith are and what the Jedi are or whatever, and it's a Slayer with a red lightsaber. So yeah, I really, just the theme of memory and the theme of being a survivor and kind of him being on this island kind of thing. Sorry, one sec. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm okay. Yeah, on the being on this lake shore, whatever, this beach town, and everyone dying away and everyone falling away, and he's the last one to survive, and he's destroyed. And this isn't the Ronin. This is an older character, right? It's almost to say how the Ronin that we know gets destroyed. And I mean, here's an interesting comment. The Sith are supposed to be the good guys, so run a novel. Okay, fair enough. Which I need to read. I need to listen to that one. Yeah. So yeah, and again, I mean, loving the style, loving the use of the red lightsaber. It had a bit of a throwback callback to the red, white, black, which we're getting them all red, white, black, by the way. Yeah, and then just the the different. I don't know. I mean, it's always hard. These are always a bit hard to describe, I admit, but I enjoyed. Yeah, okay. If you take away the idea of Sith as anything good or evil, just there. Yeah, passing on traditions, passing on what you've learned. Didn't want to knock my water bottle over. Yeah, passing on what you've learned, even as you defeat someone in a duel and you receive this joy. There's just this reflection on, just meditation on, like the Last Jedi, meditation on tradition and change and the next generation. And so, hopefully this droid is then able to inspire this Ronin to go out and make a positive difference in society. So, or in whatever he does. So yeah, that's all I've got with Visions, Ronin and the droid. What do you think? I'm sure you enjoyed it better than the Peach Momoko one, but I love the Peach Momoko one, by the way. I'll put that.
Oh yeah, definitely enjoyed this more than that.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a great artist and all, but
this one has dialogue in it, so
I like this because it's got dialogue, I have to say. But it's also the original creator of that anime, and it's so neat. Like I enjoyed this thing so much that as soon as I read it on the train, getting to New York, I told my girlfriend we're putting on what is it? We're putting on the duel right now. She said, nice. What do you mean? I showed her the comic. I said, oh, this came out today, and that happens to be one of her favorite things in Star Wars is Visions, and that's her favorite Visions anime. So I was like, all right, you're gonna read this, and we're gonna watch this together. And we were just like captivated all over again. Like, oh, this is so good. I just kept going. I kept gushing about this thing as I was watching it. Like, oh, there goes the Tusken Raider. There goes the Doug that's controlling a Viper probe droid with scythe arms, cutting up these bandit First Order troopers. This is so good.
So imagine, right?
It's just damn perfection, and it's like. What I love about it is it's so like original trilogy Star Wars, but they add elements of like all these other things. And especially in this one, I was so happy to see there was Ewoks.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to see the Ewoks. This is great. Just the amount of character crowds in the background. You got the the 9 nubs of it all. The different dudes all around. But yeah, just the story was really good too, with this older master, and then you have this guy that finds the droid, they create an emotional attachment, an emotional bond. And he has a vision of the future about how this guy's going to take over and this whole duel. But it's like, I love how the storytelling is done in the non-linear format, how it opens up and you look at the Ronin as like, oh, this guy's just a jerk. He's just trying to kill this guy for his droid. But then you learn that you go back in time, you're learning the history about what's going on. And it gets right back to where it was in the beginning. And now you see that it's a very honorable exchange, a very honorable exchange. This guy knows what's going to happen. He respects the Ronin, is going to take care of his droid. And then he actually has like the Viking funeral, of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was so well done. Like I said, it was just for me, it was very moving to see the respect and the honor that was showcased between these two noble warriors. And it felt like such a cool, like feudal Japanese take on Star Wars, and everything else follows, right? Like the amazing artwork. I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, this panel, I'll have to pull it up. Like this panel needs to be like on a wall, like somewhere. Like everything I open up now, it's so good.
Yeah.
There's this double truck page where it's just them two fighting in the water, and it's like that classical kind of them sweeping past one another. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is just freaking amazing. They're just sliding past each other. You don't know who's going to drop first, who's going down. We know who's going down because we've seen the duel, but it was just awesome. I was along for the ride the entire time, and I hope we get more of these. I would like to see this done once a year, or getting more in this universe. We're continually expanding this universe. Didn't we get a sequel to this at some point? Like there was a sequel version, One-Shot, that takes place in the future of the duel, or am I just imagining something?
This is the third Visions comic.
Oh,
there's Ichimoko, and then there was the one. I think it might have been Takashi Okazaki. I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he has done another one. I think the other one takes place after the duel, but yeah.
I mean, just thinking, we look at duels, we look at, like the Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton, like there's a hero and a villain in these duels. We look at death and brutality of it, and it can be brutal. But again, it makes me think of Yoda on Octo, right? The way of masters, we are what they grow beyond. About the challenge of, the elderly. Everyone else needs to learn to respect the elderly is a way of respecting where we come from, but also the wisdom of the elderly to know when to let go and when to let the next generation figure it out, sort it out, and entrust them, and to not be all kids these days, but to say, okay, here's the droid, you fought honorably, carry on the legacy and make it your own. That is the theme of The Last Jedi. That seems to be the theme of this comic. I hope I'm not reading too much into it, but like a more serene death and a more peaceable death for this elderly Ronin whose community has all died away, right? Like he has no one to support or care for. He can go find someone, sure, but kind of his last act of caring is to let the younger Ronin take the droid. And so it's challenging sometimes to Western ideas about youth and life, and folks holding on to youth even if they can't, or young people disrespecting the elderly. But hopefully I'm doing justice to other cultures, and this is a window in, like you said, what about Star Wars? I mean, that's the thing with Visions, especially the first season. What about Star Wars taps into Eastern cultures and Eastern notions of age and tradition and change, and and it's not to say, because it's not simply enough to say, what if Star Wars was done in that medium, in that time, in that place? George Lucas was was heavily inspired by the whole samurai genre, and so there are very clear Eastern elements, and so the way Visions can season 1 and these comics can really tease those out, and in the aesthetic and the art, really moving ways. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any more to say. Anything?
Yeah, I was a little confused by the prologue and the epilogue with those two droids. Now I know they're supposed to be, references obviously to C-3PO and R2-D2 from A New Hope, but I didn't really quite understand like where that fit in the story. They just seemed like there were two random things just thrown in the beginning and the end. Am I missing something?
I thought that was the C-3PO. I thought that was the Ronin, which is with a mask. But I could be wrong.
Because they're different astromech droids. If you look at the astromech droid, I looked like 3 times just to make sure. I'm like, they are completely different designs.
I mean, that's like Kurosawa. I mean, the like we know R2 and 3PO were references to the Kurosawa character. Maybe like the point of
view. But they're in the same location. I'm looking at it now. Like they're in the same location that these guys were fighting in, because they move and they find that same rock.
Yeah.
That they end up fighting on. Oh wait, actually, if you look close enough, I think you could actually. They're watching them fight.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And they're saying, we'll be sure to regret this. Like, I mean, I guess getting close enough to them or something.
That definitely gets at the way R2 and 3PO are. Because right in Seven Samurai, they're like the reference to those characters are kind of the observing point of view characters.
Yeah, they're observing.
So I'm wondering if these characters, this is a reference to that.
Oh, I get it now. It makes sense, because now you could see little whisk of embers in the distance. Like they're literally watching in real time, like the fire that they burned for the elder there.
So
okay, it all makes sense.
Really layered details there. There we go. That's pretty neat. Thanks for pointing. Sorry. Haven't podcasted in a bit. Thanks for pointing that out. Because it was just helps us appreciate more all these details that's thrown in. So, that. Any last thoughts on Visions?
I enjoyed this a lot more than I ever expected I would, and it's the rare occasion where something like a comic could actually lift up the source material to the point where I had to go watch it immediately after I read the comic book. So it worked well when that happens, because there's certain things that tie into other things that I'm like, yeah, I know how that story goes, and I'm like, no, I actually want to watch this again now.
Yeah, I need to watch it again now. Like I'm like, what's happening here?
And it's only like 15 minutes long, so that also made it very easy to do. It's not like I'm watching a 3-hour movie. So
that's true. Fun times. All right, let's move on to releasing this week and next week. I should change that. Sorry, High Republic Adventures Crash Landing One-Shot. High Republic Insider Short. I'll hopefully be able to do that. Also, ongoing number 45. It covers a stormtrooper and Boba Fett.
Yeah,
what's happening there? What are you doing, Charles? What do you have to do, Charles? Who knows? Also, shout out to Tommy Stella. This promises unrelated. His new comic Mustn't Tell is coming out soon. So check out his Twitter for Kickstarter. Just thought I'd throw that little plug in there. Scratch Tommy's back a bit. So anyway, what are you looking forward to for next week's conversation? If we can.
I'm looking forward to ongoing number 45, because that also pleasantly surprised me how it's a lot more than just a law procedural kind of comic 4-issue run here. We're getting Mon Mothma. It's been kidnapped by the attorney, it seems like, that orchestrated this, that's helping Lando. So it seems zany, and the thought of, oh man, they better not throw Boba Fett on that cover and not use him, because I thought at this point that Boba Fett wouldn't be ever again in the comics, because it's like, okay, it's close enough to Return of the Jedi. He's supposed to be sitting there. Jabba's palace, he even said so. He's like, I'm gonna just hang out with you for a bit, so what would get him to like leave that place again?
I mean, if anything, just thinking about how the thing Lando did that he's on trial for was to take Lobot, or to take the talkie to Jabba's palace. So maybe look as evidence, maybe he's a star witness or something. So there we go. Yeah. So yeah, looking for that. I'm kind of looking at this Crash Landing. DJO, I believe DJO is writing this.
Yeah.
The goofy, zany, whatever. I mean, it's High Republic, so I'm gonna love it. Crash as a character is turning out to be just yet another, just a unique wrinkle in High Republic, and of course, named after Alyssa Long himself. So, excited for that. Yeah, keeping up with the Edrins as well on Insider. The Edrins in the Occlusion Zone, so we'll see how they fare. The 2 plus Edrins. I'll just say that. So that's that. I'll bring those back up in a minute. But yeah, that does it for Tractor Beam Comics reviews. Let's get back to the plugs here. Thanks again, Chris, for going through all these. We made it 4 books and then some. Where can they find you? Where can folks find you on the internet?
Yeah, I feel like this was a really good, concise episode. We managed to squeeze it into almost just a normal length episode, so we did well, I think, on that one. But you can find me, my latest thing I published over on my blog, which is starraptor.substack.com. My first time experience to PAX East 2024 video game convention there in Boston. I also have a companion video that is literally a vlog of just all recorded content at that same convention. And I will eventually get up my review of this one-shot sometime this week. It should have been up by tomorrow, but I forgot. I drove right by the comic store. I had a little crazy day at work, so I usually would have more time to circle back and get the comics, but I didn't have time. So good thing we didn't talk about it tonight, because it would have been kind of awkward, me just sitting there trying to make up things.
It's okay. It would have been awkward for me too. I actually haven't read it yet, so I actually don't have it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get it on digital. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and you can find me on Twitter, talking about video games and other things, Star Wars, of course, talking hype about Bad Batch, because that's firing on all cylinders.
Oh yeah, that came out today. I watched it, don't worry.
Don't worry, Star Wars would have spoiled it if you didn't already.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Fun.
Great. Yeah, that's all.
If it does, yeah. So you can follow me Instagram and Threads, MNEUG1138, on Twitter, NEUG45. Probably got a bunch about soccer going on there. Yeah, it's happening. As usual, Taylor Swift, bit of Star Wars, bit of Star Trek, all the above, of course. At Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. That is on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Mostly active on Twitter, I believe. Just picked up Chris Kempchel's the history and politics of Star Wars that finally came in, so I got a nice photo of that cover there on the Iron Cannon Twitter, just for the heck of it. And then of course this coming Monday night right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, etc. Joel and I are talking about Force Ghosts, just for Easter Monday. Probably a bit of Anakin Force Ghost, but just generally, the resurrection of the dead is appropriate for Easter Monday, and so we're gonna dive right on that. Get a good old fashioned theology time going there, and then so check that out. Check out the flagship tomorrow night, 9 p.m. right here on the Underworld. They are definitely going to be talking about Bad Batch. You can guarantee that. And then also the Underworld Discord. I keep forgetting to shout them out. Discord server, we're all in there. Give us a shout out, give us a chat. Again, my guarantee, if you tag Joel in something, he'll respond. And ask Ben when his birthday is. That's what you should do. Check out the Discord. And I think there's a film night, or a what's the High Republic show, the kids show? Young Jedi Adventures. They're gonna do more. I believe they're doing a viewing of that on Friday. Joel can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But also, speaking of comments, please do like this video. Let us know what you thought of all the books today. The comment sections, comment boxes, they ain't going anywhere. They're sticking around. So please do comment and let us know what you think, either here or on all the socials and whatnot. Yes, it's gonna be Young Jedi Adventures on Friday in the Discord server. Check that out. All right, again, go back to this here. releasing next week. Yeah, High Republic Adventures, Crash Landing, ongoing 45, High Republic, and Insider should be. I mean, I have my copy of Insider. I just need to read it. Got a lot of things going on, a lot of things to read here. But yeah, so check out your local shop for that. If they don't have the Crash Landing One-shot, then definitely check. You can get it on digital. Dark Horse does have their own digital service as well, so check that out. But yeah, till then, Chris, it's been fun. Happy reading.
Happy reading, everybody.